Well, Jake Paul's attorney says he was out of state and not at his Calabasas home during that raid today. The FBI says they're investigating allegations of criminal acts. Today, YouTube star Jake Paul is making headlines after an FBI raid at his home in Calabasas. Sky 5 was over the scene Wednesday morning as federal agents entered Paul's home in a gated community off Mulholland Highway. 24 feds, some in tactical gear, could be seen carrying evidence from the property, including several firearms. After the search, a SWAT team was...
Imagine a world where the flashing lights of a paparazzi camera are suddenly replaced by the cold, rhythmic strobing of federal sirens. That's the reality that came crashing down on the gated community of Calabasas, a place where influencers usually trade in vibes and brand deals, not search warrants and tactical gear. When the FBI rolled up to Jake Paul's mansion, they weren't there for a cameo in a vlog. Sky 5 was hovering overhead, capturing a scene that felt like the final act of prestige crime drama. Federal agents, some draped in tactical gear, hauling crates of evidence out of a home that has served as the headquarters for one of the most polarizing rises in modern entertainment. Among the items carried away, several firearms. While Paul's attorney was quick to claim the star was out of state, the optics were already scorched into the digital record. This wasn't just another PR stunt. It was a moment of problem child, era meta problem it couldn't simply out-troll. The descent didn't start with the raid, though. It started with a sound, the sickening crack of a jaw breaking in two places during a cold night on December 19th, 2025. When Anthony Joshua stepped into the ring with Jake Paul, he wasn't there to participate in a content event.
To take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Did you carry Mike?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, like there was a point where, you know, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, you know, his age was showing a little bit. And I just have so much respect for him. And that like violence war thing between us, like after he slapped me, I wanted to, you know, be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff. But that kind of went away. As
he was there to remind the world what heavyweight boxing actually looks like. And in that moment, when Joshua's fist connected, it didn't just break bone, it shattered a billion-dollar illusion. For years, skeptics had whispered about scripted fights, cooperative opponents, and hand-picked legends. But curiosity is a persistent beast. It doesn't just go away when you ignore it. It mutates. It builds up pressure in a digital pressure cooker of slowed-down footage and frame-by-frame breakdowns until the lid finally blows off. Rewind to the Mike Tyson spectacle. That was supposed to be the coronation of the new boxing, a bridge between the legends of the past and the algorithms of the future. But the more people watched, the more the skin started to crawl. Why was Tyson biting his glove repeatedly? Was it a nervous tell, or was it a coded signal to slow down the pace? Why were there whispered words in the clinch that sounded less like psychological warfare and more like technical cues? When a leaked script for the Tyson fight began circulating, the air in the room changed. It wasn't just that the fight fell off.
The weight difference in there, I only know one man that'll do the weight difference like that, and that's the Bronze Bomber. You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference, and, you know, Joshua is a former, you know, champion. And also, you know, he's current, he's active, you know, and this is going to be the first time that we see Paul, you know, fighting an active fighter. You know what I mean? We seen the Mike Tyson. That was all fun. That was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff. But now you're dealing with a...
It was that it felt directed. Skeptics pointed to the weirdly timed exchanges and the lack of aggression from a man who used to be the baddest on the planet. Even Jake admitted he carried Mike a bit, claiming he didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt. But in the world of professional combat, mercy often looks a lot like fraud to the people who put their hard-earned money on the line. The shift from "it's just entertainment" to "this might be a federal crime" happens the second money moves across state lines. When you're selling a narrative of a legitimate sporting contest and taking wagers on it, the FBI doesn't care about your subscriber count. They care about the integrity of the market. The moment Joshua, an active, elite, and dangerous professional, was introduced into the equation, the stakes stopped being about YouTube views and started being about international law. Joshua didn't fight like a man protecting a brand. He fought like a man measuring a mismatch. He was patient, not generous. He was calm, not cautious. And when the hammer finally dropped, the blood on the canvas told a truth that no PR team could spin away. Blood doesn't lie, and bone doesn't fake. If you're finding this deep dive into the crumbling empire of influencer boxing as gripping as the headlines themselves, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. We're tracking the movement of every lawsuit, every leaked document.
Fight into this round, you need to carry him for X amount of rounds. You need to do your part to get it into the 5th, 6th, or whatever.
Absolutely no way ever. I mean, if you look at a couple of the right hands that AJ missed with in the first couple of rounds, like they would have done the same job on Jake's jaw if they would have landed. And Jake did very well to avoid them. So I always said going into the fight, AJ's not the kind of guy that's going to come out like a train, just start swinging away. He's going to take his time, and that's what he did. You know, the fight definitely went a few more rounds than anticipated from Anthony, but it's like even now, it's like, yeah, it was definitely a fix. Some guy commented today on one of my posts, yeah, it was definitely a fix. I go, you do know that he's broken.
And every federal update as this story unfolds. You won't want to miss what comes next as we pull back the curtain on the world's most expensive illusions. Now, let's talk about the physical transformation that accompanied this rise. People have been shouting steroid from the rooftop for years, and Jake's response has always been a mix of deflection and bizarre jokes. He once claimed that after his boxing career, he'd do a cycle of steroids just to show people what Jake Paul on steroids actually looks like. But for anyone who understands the sport, that kind of rhetoric is a massive red flag. Elite fighters don't dangle the idea of PEDs as a punchline. They don't gain massive amounts of functional weight without losing speed unless there's some very specialized assistance involved. When you combine the refusal of stricter testing with the rapid body changes, the suspicion stops being hate
exercise
and
like
starts
that, or
being a
exercise of
logical
any kind,
deduction.
it's
It's a toxic mix that pollutes the sport's integrity, turning every victory into a question mark. The aftermath of the Joshua knockout was a masterclass in panic rebranding. We saw a sudden pivot from the loud, brash confidence of the problem child to a defensive posture involving high-priced lawyers and aggressive silence. The legal threats came fast, targeting anyone who spoke out about the script or the raid. But threats are the language of the insecure. They don't erase suspicion. They amplify it. When your business partners go on record saying nothing weird ever happened in a tone that sounds like it was rehearsed in a windowless room, it creates a sense of uncanny valley for the audience. We know what honest sports looks like, and this wasn't it. And then the raid. The timing was catastrophic. To have federal vehicles rolling into your driveway while the internet is still replaying the clip of your jaw being wired shut is the kind of optics you can't recover from. Whether or not charges are filed today or tomorrow, the image is permanent. The aura of invincibility is gone. Once the audience stops suspending their disbelief, the show is over. Without the belief that he can actually win against the best, Jake Paul is just another guy who can get hit, and hit hard. The rumors of passports moving and exits being planned only add to the sense that the clock is ticking. Promoters like Eddie Hearn have tried to defend the legitimacy of these events, but even their defenses feel tactical. Hearn pointed to the investigations themselves as proof of innocence, which is a wild rhetorical flip. It's as if they're saying, we're so clean that even the feds checking our pockets won't find anything. But only someone who knows exactly where the legal line is drawn speaks with that kind of calculated precision. It sounds like someone who is more worried about the digging than the discovery. Let's be real here. The Jake Paul era was a parallel universe. It was an insulated, protected bubble where contracts and clauses acted as armor. It was entertaining, sure, but it was never real in the way that boxing is real. Putting that manufactured universe next to a man who has faced Klitschko and Usyk was always going to result in a collision that the bubble couldn't survive. Joshua didn't just beat Jake Paul. He ended an era. He proved that you can't monetize your way past a heavyweight champion who has decided he's done playing along.